Hey, Run Try Bike community. Welcome to the Fireside Chat on the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network. Today, we're going to be joined by Emily Johnson. Emily was featured in our March-April 2025 issue, which you can get by heading to our website at runtrymag.com/links. Scroll down and click on access to all digital magazines, and you'll find the March-April issue, and you can give it a read then. Emily is the co-owner of The Bike Shop, literally The Bike Shop, along with her husband, Nate, in Connecticut. And her goal is to get more women on bikes. We will talk about what holds women back from riding more and how we as a community can help make that change going forward. We'll also talk about where we have come from to where we are today and what has been successful and not successful in getting more women on wheels. Before we bring Emily onto the show, please remember to subscribe, rate, review, and now comment on Spotify on the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network on your favorite podcast platform. Say that 3 times fast. There are 9 shows to choose from with various stories and hosts. I'm sure you'll find one or all of them to your liking. We talk about food. We talk about music. We have Q&As like we are going to have right now with Emily on our Fireside Chat. And it runs the gamut because there are so many everyday athletes like yourself who are doing amazing things, and we're doing what we can to bring every one of those stories to light. Let's bring Emily from the back room to talk to her about her upcoming journey in bike shop ownership, as well as getting back on 2 wheels this year to race and train. Hey, Emily, how are you?
Good. How's it going?
Welcome to the Fireside Chat on our Everyday Athlete Podcast Network. And it's an honor to have you here, and it's an honor to be able to chat with you again. I enjoyed our conversation the first time. But before we get into these super hard journalistic questions, here is a question for you to see where you fall on this topic. Since you're on the East Coast, I'm hoping I have the right answer. Pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
Oh, that's tough for me, though.
Yes! It's an absolute hard no, not a chance.
Definitely not for me.
Are you a born and raised East Coaster?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
It's in our blood. Like, don't put pineapple on pizza. I live in LA now. I get it out here. California pizza, enjoy it, do your thing, but do not put it on my pizza. More for you, as they say.
Yeah.
Congratulations on getting the first question right. We're headed in the right direction.
Perfect.
So I mentioned that you and Nate own The Bike Shop, by the way, which is just a fantastic name. When you told that to me, I couldn't stop laughing. How did you make the decision that owning a bike shop was going to be the thing that you were going to do? What spurred this idea?
It's an interesting story. So when my husband and I were in high school together, my father-in-law retired and he purchased a bicycle shop in Manchester, Connecticut as like his retirement hobby. And in that, like at the time, my husband and I weren't really into cycling. We were skateboarding, we're 90s kids and what have you. So with that, like he carried skateboards at the time along with bicycles. And then as we got older, my husband moved away for a while and lived in Vermont. And then when he came home, started working at the bike shop with his dad and kind of took over. And around the pandemic is when I kind of stepped in full time with him. I had always been there part time, helping, doing merchandising and leading group rides and stuff, but not really full time in like doing mechanical work and like all of every aspect of it. So that happened around 2019 for me, that shift. And it really was like a mental health shift for me with work, because before I was doing behavior consulting. So that was really getting draining for me and just maxing me out. And I was coming home, I had like no time for my own kids and it was pretty hard. So we made the decision for me to kind of step away from teaching and consulting to, dipping my hands in full time with the shop and Nate and everything. And it's just been like so fun ever since. So
That's really cool. And as you talked about shifting from one career into entrepreneurialism, and you talked about it being stressful, my first thought was, yeah, but being an entrepreneur is stressful. Like,
it's super stressful. It's so different because I get to make my schedule, right? And it's not like I can be more flexible with that. Whereas when I was in schools before and I'm like working with a child one on one, or say in a classroom, I can't just step out for my kids when they need me if there's an emergency or any of that. And at the time our daughter was going through some allergy stuff, so it was like, oh, this is very stressful, you know.
Yeah. Quick shout out to Hunter, who is how we met. Women on
Definitely.
Wheels just joined us on Instagram. Hey, Hunter, thanks for being a part of the show. Um, so the stresses are different, yes, but they are still stresses, and you do have some freedoms to make decisions on
Right.
schedules and things like that. Um, has being a cyclist helped you with being an entrepreneur, and vice versa? Has being an entrepreneur helped you with your cycling?
I would say for sure, because y- being a cyclist causes you to be super dedicated to what you're doing, right? You can't just jump on a bike and ride 50 miles and be totally fine the next day, or be breathing through the whole thing successfully. So it takes a lot of dedication to training, to just building your routine, sticking to it, figuring out what works, what doesn't, balancing all of those things with your day-to-day life, like all of it. It really translates into running your own business for sure.
Hunter says, "Hey, friends."
Hey, friend.
And I'm glad that Hunter jumped on when she did, because I want to talk about getting more women on bikes. Like, we have done our fair share, maybe not enough, in talking to women who are riding, getting the word out about getting more women on wheels,
Yeah.
as the name of the club is. And I'm just wondering, like, today compared to maybe when you got involved with the bike shop in and of itself at full time, or maybe even prior to that part time, what have you seen as a shift in getting more women on bikes? Is it the same number? Is it less than? Has it grown? What have you noticed?
It's evolved. This is such a good question. It's evolved significantly. Before, I would say early like 2009, 2010s, you would see a lot of women interested in road riding. And I think that's when the like gym spinning boom happened, right? And it was easier to kind of get them on spinning bikes and inactive in that way. But it was still really hard for mountain biking for some reason and other areas. But then I would say over the pandemic, women in general have had this shift from like shrinking to being strong, right? And it's all about like empowering that aspect and building ourselves up. And so I think there is more of that translation of like, one, we all had way more time with the pandemic to try a new sport. So there were people, as you know, buying every single bicycle that was out there imaginable.
No doubt.
And now they have this equipment, you have to go ride it. Well, if you go ride it and you don't have the fitness, you just spent like $3,500 on this bike. Are you just going to give up, or are you going to be strong and stick to it, make the goal, go work out, go to the gym, start something to build that routine so that you can go ride that bike. And then it's like, I would say locally, we have a neat small bubble of like, you'll see women on Facebook groups pop up and be like, hey, I just rode here and it felt really good. Does anybody else have a recommendation for where else to go, or like how I can progress? And you really see the conversations are different for women. It's a lot of encouragement, a lot of like, oh, well, if you're interested in this, you have to go here. Oh, you should join this group. Or a lot of us are always like, women on wheels, like, like join the groups. And then you'll get on the rides. And I just see such a different culture for the female cyclists versus the males right now.
It's super interesting because I still wonder, like you say, it's evolved and
Yeah,
women are more confident, but I have a hard time believing that women are walking into your bike shop and being like, this is the bike I want. This is what I'm spending. This is like, I would
they're
imagine there's still confusion isn't the right word, but a lack of understanding of what they actually need,
sure.
and took a risk. by coming to talk to you. And maybe it's because you are the co-owner of the bike shop,
Right.
and so you come with some authority in the conversation.
That's
But what if it's a bike shop that's not co-owned by a female? Like, how are women walking into those bike shops to buy bikes?
It's hard. That is like a really difficult thing to figure out for any shop. It's like if the women are familiar with people who go to that shop, they'll be comfortable going in, like if they get a recommendation or a referral. But usually when they come in for the first time, they're so timid and overwhelmed. And it is like we've talked before, it's such a male dominant sport that they're just I really don't know how they approach other shops because I see them come into ours and they're kind of like, ooh, and I'm like, hey, like I try to make it like as inviting as possible, right? Like, but like, it is overwhelming. And I've been there myself, and I forget, like, I grew up around mechanics and like all sorts of like guys. So it's just so different for me. I like assert myself into it. And I
Right.
forget it's not the norm. So
So how do we change this? And don't hold back, right? Like, I think the thing that happens is we all yell, we want to change, we want to make change,
Mhm.
and then we're timid about what it is that what we need to make that change, and
Yeah.
the progress takes even longer. So,
Hmm.
like, speak directly at men, like really
Yeah.
speak directly at men about how we can make it so that women are like, I'm going to go ride my mountain bike, my gravel bike,
Right.
my cross X bike, whatever the bike it is. I don't care. Like,
Yep.
how do men make it so that women feel comfortable in doing it?
Right. Like I think it's such a hard question to answer because everyone's, answer is going to be a little different. But I think honestly, just being receptive to questions, like I, it's a lot of the times when I have my clinics, I hear "I'm sorry" so many times, and it's like, I'm literally having this clinic so you can ask me these questions, like, why are you apologizing? So I think it's, like, a lot of just creating space for women to, 1, feel like they can ask a question and not get humiliated, like, because a lot of them will be like, "That thing there," and it's like, "That's a derailleur," but, like, they don't know that, so, like, why am I gonna talk to them like they're stupid, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of that, or like if they just don't know how to change their flat tire, they're like embarrassed to ask how. And it's like, just you have to ask.
For any woman listening, changing a flat tire is hard. Like,
It
I've been
is.
there.
It's
Like,
hard.
it's hard. I've been
Yeah.
there. You got all the tools out, and then I'm a road cyclist. You put the tube in, and sure enough, you get a
Brutal.
pinch flat, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit, now
Right.
what? Right?
Exactly. And I think that right there, more of like, hey, I've been there. Oh my gosh, this can, that kind of attitude versus the like, what is she doing? Like she's an idiot, doesn't know what she's doing here. And it's like, encourage her, like,
Let me tell you, there have been more times than not where I've wanted to fling the bike,
I
right,
bet. Yes.
off the side of the road than ride it, because you're like, why can't this work?
Yes.
You drop a chain at one point,
Yeah.
that happens. It sucks. You got to get off the bike, and now your hands are filthy with
Oh yeah.
grease. Like,
Oh
it's
yeah. And you have nothing to like wiping on black chamois. Here we are.
one rule: do not wear white chamois. That's it. Just don't
Yeah.
do that.
No.
One, even if you don't get chain grease on you, it's not a good look at some point.
Exactly. That's so fair.
But like, my wife is a fantastic mountain biker, and
Mhm.
I am scared to death of riding mountain bikes.
I
Like, I
love
am
it.
so fearful of them. And we tell this story a lot because in a lot of life, I am like, stick me up front, let's do it. We'll figure it out later if we fail or whatever. But on mountain bikes, I'm not that way. And we were in Arizona, and I wasn't cruising, she was cruising. And, she dropped me, she's gone. And she said she waited for like 7 or 8 minutes for me to catch up, and I finally get there, and she's like, where were you? And I literally rode into a cactus. Like, I
Oh,
was picking the the needles out of my hand and everything else because I was so timid and afraid.
Yeah.
And I think it just goes to show you, right? Like, it doesn't matter that she's a female and I'm a male. She is a good mountain bike rider, period.
Yeah.
End of story. And I think if men were more open to, like you said earlier, either A, listening, and if they're the stronger one of the two, waiting and being patient and riding with them. Because I think we often forget that we all started somewhere too, right? Like, we didn't get on bikes and all of a sudden we were Taddy Pakacha or, Wout Van Aert, right? Like, that's
Right.
just not, that doesn't work that. I mean, maybe for them it does. But having a clear understanding, like we all started somewhere, I think would go a long way too.
Oh, it's so true. And then, like, that's a good point. Like, another thing that I've noticed for couples who will get their significant other into it, a lot of times the guys will put their tiny little like partner on these humongous oversized bikes or just like this 26 inch wheel like heavy hardtail, and they take her to like some super technical place and it's like, what are you doing, just set them up to like have a good ride.
Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster, right?
Yeah,
Like, the
yeah,
two of you are both going to end up frustrated and angry
totally.
because,
And they're like on a full suspension and she's on this like
right,
heavy hard bike.
she can't keep up and she's angry at you. You're
Yep.
angry that she can't keep up. And it's
Yep.
like, why would you even put yourself in that predicament?
Not fun.
So is that something that is that a topic amongst many topics that you have in your clinics and how you address bike size and
Oh yeah.
clip-ins versus flat pedals and all of that stuff? So if you don't mind, give us an example of what one of your clinics entails.
Well, so our last one was a nutrition one, and then our next one is going to be bike packing, all about bike packing. So, what I'm going to do is bring in all of the gear that I have and breaking it down for everyone, even down to like I have specific tools that I carry bike packing that I don't carry on a normal ride. There are just all sorts of things to plan for, like specific pedals. Are you clipped in? Are you riding flat? You may want to run flats depending on terrain, all of these things. Nutrition for your bikepacking trip, clothing. Something that was interesting talked about today in Women on Wheels was Christine was like, don't forget at nighttime, it's colder than you anticipate. So, like, think about those long johns, even though it's warm out. It's just all of these little details I try to remember for everyone, to just make a list, just a little cheat sheet.
The clinics are in person, correct?
Yep, they're in the shop. Yep.
Do you also offer any tips or anything that virtual for anybody who's listening to the show that they can go maybe to your website or to your Instagram to get some information?
We haven't yet, but that's a really good idea.
I'll send my invoice for my business idea.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. We'll come to you soon.
Is there, you mentioned bike packing, and immediately my mind goes to, okay, there's just going to be a lot of stuff when it comes to bike packing.
Yeah.
Route, mapping out a route,
Yep.
gear, letting people know where you're at, on top of all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like an entry level concept? And I know everybody's going to be different, but if you had your way, it's Unicorns and Rainbows by Emily Johnson, and this is how we're going to do things. How would you like walk a new female cyclist through this idea of I want to get on a bike? Like, where are you starting them? Where should they progress to? Where would they go next? That kind of thing. So that if they're listening to this and they're thinking, I'd like to get on a bike, but I literally have no idea where to start. Where would you help them?
Right. So it's kind of like we always ask, like, what type of riding are you looking to do? Obviously, road, gravel, mountain, just casual. How long have you been riding? Are you new to riding? Are you clipped in? Are you unclipped? How many miles are you looking to ride a week, a month? Do you have big goals like a bike packing trip that you're going to try to build up to? It all depends. Like, do you have a current bike now? Does it fit you? Do you need a bike fit?
How would they know if the
Right,
bike fits them or not?
right. So usually they always ask that, and I'll say, well, let me see you sit on it. And that's the best way. And sometimes I'll say, set your cell phone up and go do circles out on it in your driveway so that I can get a good profile view of you.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous, but it's helpful because I can immediately tell, is your seat height too high, too low? Are your bars angled weird? Are you too far forward? All of these little things that I can be like, all right, I already know how I want to help support you and like what I would tweak before you even get to me, so that it's just quick, streamlined. Like, how can we get you super comfortable so you can reach your goal?
You sparked a thought when you were talking about looking at seat height and bars. You have the advantage of owning the shop, and so being a mechanic in the shop is easy to do for you. But what about for women who want to get into being a mechanic at a bike shop that they don't own? Like,
Right.
is that an easy process, or is that just as difficult as women getting into riding?
Oh, I'd say it's almost a little harder. You have to it's funny because like mechanics like all know each other. So like locally. So it's interesting. You have to really know what you're doing to be like confident working in a bike shop. And I think that's so intimidating for women because there are so many girls that I ride with who could work with me or own their own shop, but it's just kind of like that probably imposter syndrome working mechanically, publicly.
It would be we'll paint the picture because I think it would be fascinating to see an all women's bike shop,
Oh yeah,
right? And who would actually go into the store, right?
right.
Would men go into an all women owned bike shop? Like if they walked in there and they saw women mechanics, women sales reps, right? It was just all females. I wonder how they would react.
It's it's give or take. So there are some guys who are fine with it, like a lot of mountain bikers that I know, they're like, "Oh, hey, I need you to do my suspension work." And they're like totally fine with it. But then there are other guys who are like, and I'm like,
Just
"All
made
right,
around.
I'll let you warm up to me," Or like what always gets people is like my husband and I love building custom wheels, right? So they'll kind of be like, if a guy is a little like snippy or something, I'll be like, I built your wheels. And like that always gets them. They're like, damn, respect. All right.
You gotta have a better leading scenario though. You gotta be like, "How are those wheels you've been riding on? You
Yeah,
like them?
exactly. Yeah,
Have you had any issues with your suspension lately?" "No." "Oh,
right,
good, because I fixed it." So
right. Because of me. Thanks. No. So silly.
that
But
would
it
be.
would be so rad to see like an all women shop. I would love that.
Are the bike manufacturers that you work with, are they becoming more receptive to women on bikes? In other words, they're not just taking the male frame,
Yeah.
painting it pink or purple, and saying female bike,
Yeah.
right?
I'd say it's a good mix still, it's it's easier to fit women to bikes now than it was for a minute there, when they were just like, "Hey, girls can fit on just an extra small version of that," It's a little more fine-tuned now, but there is still quite a bit of that, one side.
I know Live
Mhm.
is geared specifically toward women. Are there other bike brands?
Not necessarily like so focused like Live, but there are some that will have like a women's line, like Santa Cruz has the Juliana and things like that. But most have kind of gone back to that unisex for most of the frames, yeah.
And that's for all types of bikes, road bikes,
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
it's a interesting, right? Because it's a chicken or the egg scenario, right?
Mhm.
Do we make more female specific bikes in
Mm,
the hopes of getting more women on
right,
bikes?
right.
Or do we wait to see and get more women on bikes before we start making more bikes specifically for women? Like,
Yeah.
I can't,
Mm,
like, I'm glad I don't have to make that decision, right? Like, Because for me, that the reality would be, I would just make the bike line, right? I would
Yeah.
make a bike line specifically for women. There's got to be research out there that says these parts of the United States or the globe are heavily dominated by women cyclists, and start building a brand in those areas.
Hmm.
And with the viral component of social media,
Yeah.
right? Reach out to Women on Wheels like Hunter's group, and
Yeah.
here's what we have here. We're not selling them in Connecticut today. We have them in wherever, and start building that connection in that community. Because I just think that that would go a lot further than waiting for women to show up to a bike shop.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. Like the more that I have done the outreach for like inviting women in, the more confidence I've seen. Like it's so interesting. Normally bike fitting is kind of hard to get women into unless if they know it's specifically a female bike fitter there.
Okay.
But since I've been having more and more women events specifically, I have I get calls all the time now for bike fits, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. They feel like comfortable, coming in and doing that's kind of like a vulnerable activity. I'm like measuring your sit bones and we're
Yeah.
talking about your weight and like all sorts of like flexibility and like I'm touching you and it's weird. So, that's hard. That is a big thing and that is something that I've noticed pick up the most since I've started the women specific events
Are
is
there any schools or academies or anything like that that teach people how to fit others on bikes, and do they market it towards women?
there's all sorts of different like bike fitting specific tools. Like there's so many varying certifications for it. I think every bike company probably has their own, preferred format to be honest. So it's usually you need significant training. Like we've each received about 250 to 500 hours training to just make sure you actually understand the kinesthetics of their body, and how it's moving.
Do they market these courses towards women? Because, and then look, if they are, I'm not going to see it, right? If they're highlighting
Right.
females only, I'm never going to see it. But I wonder if they're marketing it towards women.
I would say I've seen like an uptick in some women as bike fitters locally, but I'm not sure if that's like an overlap of I know two who work in chiropractic practices and then another one who's a nutritionist. Like so they're outside of bikes, but they have combined it somehow with what they already do, which is really cool. So maybe we'll see more of that like come together.
So let's inspire some women to get back on bikes. How did you specifically find your way onto two wheels?
Ooh, I have always been riding a bike. And then after our second child, I was like, I just need like some time to zone out by myself for like 40 minutes. And my husband brought home a road bike and was like, here, because I was a runner previously, but I was like, I don't even want to like push the stroller. I just want to like be by myself. And so I did some road riding for a little while, but it didn't really pick up as much as I thought it would. And probably, I think 2014, he came home with a mountain bike. And he was like, I brought this home. You should probably ride it. And I was kind of like, whatever. And then one day, I was home with the dog and I had nothing to do. So I was like, yeah, I'll go do it. And I've just like not stopped ever since.
What is it about? What is it about mountain biking that is the allure for you?
I don't know. It's like I love being out in the woods. I love being able to like navigate a trail by myself. I know I'm out there. I can handle everything by myself. It's just peaceful. It's like moving meditation to me. And you really like as disconnected as I am from everything else, I'm so honed in on what I'm doing because it's really technical riding out here. So I have to be focused and like in the zone. And I really like that aspect of mountain biking.
What is owning a bike shop and being a female on mountain bikes on the trails say to you have kids, is it, or
Yeah.
what?
Yep. I have two.
You have two kids. So, like, what is that message that's coming across to them, do you think? And um, how do you elevate that message that you're sending to them that they may not even know they're getting?
Yeah, we're like really open with our kids about mental health and how important it is to move your body. And I joke with them all the time. I'll be like, if I don't ride enough this week, my brain's gonna get sad. You know? And like it, but it's true. Like I know if I'm not getting enough sun, if I'm not moving enough, I'm just not gonna feel right. I'm gonna feel off. So I'm really like, all right, I gotta go take my brain for a walk, or like I do say things like that to them so that it's important that they know they should prioritize it. Especially like my son now, he's 19, he's working full time, and we're always like, man, it's so awesome to see him like go hiking with his friend on his day off, or like take that initiative to be outside, you know. I think that that's been my main focus, is to show them these are the ways that we care for ourselves, and hopefully it sticks with them. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that it would. And because I would also imagine that as much as you probably tried to protect them as they were growing up from conversations about running the business, there were
Mhm.
moments where you and Nate were having conversations that they overheard about the difficulty of a customer or the difficulty of a manufacturer and your dealings
Yeah.
with them and how you manage that relationship,
Oh, for sure.
right? That they would have overheard, and now they can take that into their world and their relationship with whomever it might be.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of lessons learned. And I guess it goes back to why being an entrepreneur at times is better than being an employee, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're an employee, you close the laptop at 5 p.m. and you go home, and that's the end of it,
You're
right?
done. Yep.
And look, don't send hate email. I used to work in corporate America. I get it. There were nights I'd be up till 8, 9 o'clock at night, right? But I didn't have to worry about making payroll. Period.
Right.
End of story. It was just never a thing. As an entrepreneur, is a little bit different, right? You're worried about everything. I mean, I
Yeah.
mean, I would imagine, right? Like for you, if you're mopping the floor, you're worried that a customer doesn't slip on it.
Yeah. It's the simplest things are always crossing our minds. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't imagine. Actually, as we're talking here, I had a thought. Like when you plan out your business, right? You have a strategy for the quarter, the month, the week, the year, whatever it is. How does that help you when you're racing, right? When it comes to strategy and plotting things out and thinking about, okay, this is where the trail is a little bit wider and I can overtake if I have an opportunity versus single track scenario, which is really difficult. Like, do they help each other out? Have you even noticed that?
Um, I don't think about it, but I'm sure it does, because the way that I like move things around, or my husband and I, like when we're talking, we're always revisiting things. I'm like, all right, what do we need to do like to prepare for next month? Do we need to move this here? Or like, do we need to make sure we're doing something extra? There's always moving parts. And I think when you're constantly in that zone during the day, it does translate to everything else, and it helps you maintain that rhythm, for sure.
What do you, as you're planning, and we'll keep on this topic, what are you seeing that is in demand these days? Is it road bikes? Is it cross X bikes? Is it mountain bikes? Is it electric bikes? What are you seeing in the marketplace? What are people looking for the most?
Right now, I would say the interest is pretty heavily gravel still, and mountain biking, but not it's kind of petering off a little bit for mountain biking. It was pretty big during the pandemic. It kind of ebbs and flows every 5 years. So we're kind of on the down, and then it'll come up. But I would say gravel is huge right now, and I've seen a little uptick in cross. Not huge, but a little bit more this year. And I'm curious though if it's because our local Hartford venue has like redone it, and it's really nice the past couple of years. So I think that's a big buy-in. So we'll see.
Road bike and tri bikes flat?
I wouldn't say tri is flat, but I'd say road kind of locally. For people who aren't racing, yeah, it's pretty flat. It's not necessarily the safest cycling sport right now, with the
Yeah.
way drivers are. People are pretty aggressive in Connecticut towards road cyclists, unfortunately.
I,
So, like
you,
just on Saturday on our group ride, we had somebody. There was 16 of us, right? And this gentleman was kind of coasting in his car next to us, and he just kept beeping. And it was like, oh my gosh, every time you beep, we just spread out more. Like, stop beeping. Like, we'll get by you quicker. But
honestly, you could have ended the earlier statement and not just said in Connecticut or in my local area. You could have just said in America.
in America,
Right.
yeah.
And maybe it's because we are in these sports that we see the reports about these things like that. And I don't know how we get non-cyclists to understand, one, that we are also moving vehicles and we have the right of way on our street, just like they do in a motor vehicle.
Right.
But two, that we are human beings. Look, I get it. We're in lycra and spandex and on two wheels, right? We look
Yeah,
different from you. Got
right.
it. Right.
Well, we're like on this little piece of carbon, and they're like in a vehicle. Like,
Yeah. I really wish people would understand that we're human beings just like they are, that we have families and friends that we need to get home
yeah,
to.
yeah.
Um, and I don't know how we do it. Like when we lived in um, Seattle, the Seattle bike lanes were amazing. And the people of Seattle, the drivers that is, understood that there are people riding bikes. And sometimes you might have to go 8 miles an hour on this street
Right.
until they come to a stop sign or they make a right turn or whatever the cyclist does. And that's okay. Living here in LA, it's just as good. There are bike lanes everywhere in LA, even on like the PCH main highways, and you see people giving them the right of way. I lived in Dallas for a number of years and it was the exact opposite. It was
Yeah.
the exact opposite,
Yeah.
right? Like the honking, the riding up right up behind you,
Mhm.
and putting you in position of danger.
Yeah.
Really is what it is. And I just wish that more people would understand that we are a human just like you are. We just happen to be on two wheels while you're in four at this point.
Yeah. It's scary when you have a vehicle being aggressive, you know? It's scary. I don't know how else to explain that to people who don't ride, you know?
And look, honestly, like riding a bike is one of the most freeing things you can do. It
Really,
really is one of the most
really.
freeing things. Like I say, I'm a runner by talent, a cyclist by heart, right?
Yep.
Like I love to run because I'm good at it, but I love to bike because it gives me this sense of freedom and
Yeah.
um, ability to tour your local area. And
Mhm.
it's an amazing scenario, but it's hard, right?
Yeah.
Like, and we don't need to make it any harder by having
No.
a car being a jerk behind us. It's just
Oh, definitely not.
unnecessary. We're running out of time here, but I want to make sure that we let people know where they can find you, where they can find the bike shop, how they can get in touch with you if they have questions. Lay it all on the line here.
All right. Well, you can find me at the bike shop in Willington, Connecticut. You can find me on Instagram. It'll be the bike shop Instagram or Facebook. You can also find my personal Instagram, or you can even email me at emily@mtbct.com.
And
And
we'll
you can
drop
find anything on the same platform for website, mtbct.com.
as a marketing person, I love the brand consistency.
Thank you.
And we'll drop that into the show notes when we post the podcast live, which will be on the 28th for those of you who are joining us late. Are you now well prepared for our series of questions regarding food now that I've lulled you into this false sense of security in this interview?
Let's see.
All right, here we go. You got the first one right, so let's see how well you do with the rest of these. Oreos. Are you a fan of the old school Oreo, the double stuff Oreo, the mega stuff Oreo, the thin Oreo, or the cakester Oreo?
Ooh, I'm an original Oreo.
How do you eat your Oreo? Are you a twist and scrape? Are you a dunker? Or you toss it all in your mouth like an aspirin and just chew?
I'm a twist and scraper.
Nice. I eat
You
them like aspirin. Like I just throw the whole thing in my mouth. My wife is in the other room and she's like, "This is what I look like." Just throwing them all in. I don't even know if I chew, honestly. They might just go straight down.
I love it.
Licorice, red or black?
Ooh, black.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
are you a Sambuca fan then? The anisette taste?
Yes. Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
So I think this is our 163rd episode, which means we've been doing this for 3 years.
Okay.
I think like on both hands, we can probably count the number of people that have chosen black licorice. They either say none or red.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's so funny.
Is Twizzler are they the only brand that makes black licorice, because I can't imagine Red Vines would
Well,
make it.
I actually prefer so random. You know those like Easter jelly beans that you can get?
Yes.
They always have a black one, and
Yeah.
that is my favorite licorice candy. Yeah.
Are you a Mike and Ike fan then too?
Yeah.
I would throw that box in the river.
Trash.
As a kid, like give me the apple. Give me the apple instead of the Mike and Ike box.
I love it.
Get out of here. Peeps. Are Peeps a real candy or are they just gold glitter dust?
Oh God, they're terrible. They're
Yes.
gold glitter dust. They're awful. I hate them.
We've been doing the show forever, and we were told multiple times that what you need to do is let the Peeps get stale and then eat them.
Oh.
And no. My response was, so let me get this straight. You want me to take something bad, make it worse, and somehow it's going to be better?
Yeah. No.
No. This is not like Edward James Olmos, a negative times a negative is a positive. Like that's not going to happen. By the way, I tried it and it was terrible.
Oh, sure. Don't they get like hard?
Yes, they're like door stops. Again, why would you take something that's bad and make it worse and be like, it's definitely going to be better?
Yeah, no.
And you know what the funny thing is, right? You think about this. Somebody left the Peeps out. They got hard and they were like, I'm going to try it anyway.
Yeah. That's so nasty.
Candy corn. Is candy corn a real candy or is it just earwax covered in sugar?
I hate it. Earwax to me. I hate it.
It's awful.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember those orange circus peanuts?
Oh, yeah.
What are your thoughts on the orange circus peanut?
I'm pretty picky, I guess.
No, you're right on. You're hitting the ball out of the ballpark right now.
Yeah,
those circus peanuts are nothing more than the stuff that Amazon packages are buried in, right?
Yeah.
Like they're just styrofoam. They're awful.
Yeah, they're weird. I don't remember them doing much, but like smushing.
Yes. And the crazy thing, so Brock's makes all of these candies.
Okay.
By the way, Brock's, if you want to sponsor the show, I will eat them all and put a smile on my face.
Done.
I don't know how they stay in business. Like, who's eating this stuff?
They've got pretty nasty selection.
All right, next one. So at most grandparents' house, there's a bowl of candy.
Mm-hmm.
There's usually a mixture. There is a mint. There is a strawberry hard candy that has the strawberry gel in the middle that is wrapped in a strawberry-looking foil pack. And there's caramel. Which one is Emily Johnson taking out of the bowl?
Ooh, the strawberry. Only because I can never find them anywhere else.
That's because all the grandmas bought them up in 1972. They don't exist anymore.
Get them. I love them.
As an endurance athlete, you probably eat a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Oh, yeah.
Creamy or crunchy?
Crunchy.
How do you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? And before you answer, I'm going to give you your options. You take one slice of bread, you put the peanut butter on one side, you take another slice of bread, you put the jelly there, and then you smash it together. Or you put the peanut butter on one slice, put the jelly over top, and then bring the other slice of bread over the top.
Who does that?
Me, this guy.
No, I'm not sure.
Do you remember Goober? The
Oh, I do the mix.
yes.
Yeah.
So how is that any different?
Well,
It's no different than what I do.
it's not. You're right.
All right, so now we've made the sandwich. How do you eat it? And here are some options: 2 rectangles, 2 triangles, 4 squares, or 4 triangles.
2 rectangles, but I eat them from the middle out.
You're the second person who said that in 3 years.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. We had Shannon Watts on the show once, and she said she cuts it into 2 rectangles. And I will never forget this. She said she takes it and turns it and eats it like corn on the cob.
Yes, girl. Yes.
And she doesn't eat the crust. She didn't want to get her hands sticky from the
No,
jelly.
that's for my dog.
By the way, she's from the Northeast too. This might be a thing.
I love it. Yes.
You must love Uncrustables then, because it doesn't come with any crust.
Exactly.
Have you tried air frying an Uncrustable?
No, that's
Me neither. I was told about this about a week or 2 ago, and I've yet to try it, but I was told it's phenomenal.
Sounds so good. I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, report
I'll
back.
have to post it and I'll tag you.
Please do. By the way, we get tagged in some of the most unhinged food shit constantly, right? Because we talk about food all the time on this platform, and like people will always send us pineapple on pizza jokes constantly, or they'll send us pictures of candy. Like they will send us tag us in all kinds of stuff, and I love it.
That's
So yeah, air fry your next Uncrustable and tag us in it. Red velvet cake. Is red velvet cake a real flavor, or is it just chocolate cake dressed up to go to the prom?
It is food coloring. It is just food coloring. That's all it is. It's so gross.
Okay, another PSA for all the bakers in the audience. We get it. You use the alkalized cocoa and you use vinegar and it makes a whole bit. We got it. We understand. But if you go to a grocery store, that sheet cake is nothing but red food dye. Like they're not using all of that stuff.
The difference. I agree. If it's like a restaurant quality, I'll eat it. You're right. If it's grocery store, no.
No, they're charging you $6.99 for $2.99 cake, man.
Yep.
Wise up, America. Do you have a favorite flavor of cake?
Carrot cake.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Raisins or no raisins?
So my mother-in-law makes it with little pieces of ginger, candied ginger, instead of raisins, and I prefer that. It's really good.
That's acceptable. I also pineapple. If you put a little bit of pineapple in there, that moisture helps out too. I love carrot cake. I was in Sedona last weekend and I went to Whole Foods and I was like, I need some dessert. And they had the big slabs of carrot cake. And then they had vegan carrot cake cupcakes.
Yum.
I was like, yes.
So good.
So good.
Yep.
That night it hit like you wouldn't believe.
I bet.
Do you have a favorite flavor of ice cream?
Ooh, coffee.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
First time that's been said in 3 years, and I'm a huge fan of coffee ice cream. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you get some of the espresso bits in there too. Can't be beat.
Yep.
Have you tried Talente coffee?
Yes. Talente.
Best in the market, hands down. Best in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite type of pie?
Probably apple. Let's be traditional.
Key lime would be the right answer, but good choice. Candy bar. You have a favorite candy bar?
Snickers.
Yeah, they really satisfy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When I'm trying to get them as an advertiser too. You got to hype it up,
Hear us.
One of the things I love doing is when I run ultras is if you get the little bite-sized ones of the Snickers, you keep them in your vest, and then in a moment of need, you put it in your mouth, but don't chew it. Just like allow the chocolate to melt. It's so good.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Oatmeal raisin or chocolate chip cookie?
Ooh, chocolate chip.
Anyway.
My husband is oatmeal raisin all day, and I'm always like, oh, garbage.
Go, Nate, go. But is it chocolate chip that's fresh baked so it's soft, or are you going for those hockey pucks called Chips Ahoy?
No, I like a fresh baked cookie. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it's fresh baked, it's almost a no-brainer. But that's why the oatmeal raisin is better. You can get the store-bought packaged one, and it's good.
That's fair. That's fair.
You could only eat one type of flavor for the rest of your life, savory or sweet. Which way are you going?
Savory.
Yeah, it has to be.
Mhm.
Can't be too much sweet.
No.
I mean, I know we're basically heading into summer, but let's move into fall. You're in Connecticut. Pumpkin spice or apple cider?
Ooh, apple cider.
Yes. Apple cider donuts?
Yes. So good.
Can't be beat. So good. Frosted or unfrosted Pop-Tarts?
Frosted, probably. Yeah.
Probably. So you're not a big Pop-Tart person?
No, but if I had one, I'd have a frosted. All in.
Hey, I bet you if you started selling that stuff at the bike shop, you'd probably get a lot more customers.
I know. True.
You just need to set up a stand with Uncrustables and Pop-Tarts right next to it.
Perfect. And I'll put my air fryer there. Optional.
Yes, as a service. A nickel a minute. Every time that thing's in the air fryer for a minute, it's a nickel. Last question before I let you go. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
A tray of brownies has come out of the oven. It's been sitting on the counter long enough to cool so you can actually eat it without burning the hell out of yourself. Are you going to the corner? Are you going to the edge? Or are you going to the middle for the ooey gooey?
Corner all day.
All day. You need that. You need a handle.
Yeah, it's so good. The best.
Yeah, you get the crunchy on the outside and you get the ooey gooey in the middle.
Exactly.
Lasagna, are you the same way?
Yes. I guess I like the crunchy bits.
Yeah, you need that crunchy corner of the lasagna. I don't care what anybody says. I will arm wrestle you for it because it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
But and before I let you go, here's my recipe of the day. So go get that Talenti coffee ice cream that you like so much. And what you do is you put a piece of the brownie in the bottom of the mug and then top it with that Talenti coffee ice cream. And as that ice cream melts, it's like getting a mocha. And it's so good. Oh, it's so good. Emily, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
For all of you out there, thank you so much for joining us. We had a blast talking to Emily today. The gift of time is the greatest gift that you can give, and you've given it to me and to Emily, and I cannot thank you enough. Join us next week on May 27th when we have Mary Fleming joining us on our next Fireside Chat. Mary is a world marathon major finisher, having finished the London Marathon earlier this year. So we're going to talk to her about how she got into running and how the 6 world majors became a thing and where she goes from here. Appreciate your time. Make sure you head to the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network, subscribe, rate, review, and comment.